Alright, I wanted you guys to look at the O9 paper because it actually has the question how far does two sources support something, an issue. So we're gonna go a bit backwards, okay? We're gonna look at the answer scheme by Cambridge, and then we're gonna look at the way we should be looking at answer. So it's an interesting source. I did this with 4i. I didn't do this with 4f, but you can work backwards because it doesn't tell you the answer directly. It's interesting because both sources, okay, could be let me change the color. Both sources could be read as either supporting or challenging the notion. So actually you could have chosen both support that US had encouraged immigration, or one support, one does not support. It doesn't really matter as long as you are able to prove and explain. So when doing with 4i, by reading it, to me it was that USA didn't really deliberately encourage the invasion for the source that said it was just a hint. Okay, but then someone in 4i would have mentioned that, but even a hint is also a sign that you did encourage it. Okay, there was something done to encourage it. So there are a lot of traps in the source itself. So take a look at the 2009 paper. Read the source carefully because he's saying a lot of big statements. The first sentence may not be actually what his stand is. Okay, so read the one by the Arab National. So it's quite interesting. When you read it, you realize that you can't really figure out what the guy's stand is actually about. Is he really trying to blame USA? Is he blaming the West? Or is he blaming Saddam Hussein? Okay, so you should have been able to actually justify and answer it properly. I will encourage you to try your own. So for I already did this with you. For 4F, pick a stand. Okay, and then make sure you pick the evidence, and then make sure you're able to explain. So for instance, certain things that the guy says he doesn't really mean, he's just trying to tell you the West is saying something, or the West trying to portray something, it may not necessarily mean that he agrees with it. So please try and think with it, okay? So again, it's interesting because both sources could be read, okay, as either supporting or challenging a notion. To progress further, the question is, so you do look at cross-referencing. This is a reliability using two sources question. So again, most of you should have been telling me that Glass B refused to respond. Okay, I think that one up to the stage you guys can do this. So you can infer that she must have encouraged him. Or source F constructed the image of Saddam as a power-mad dictator. Okay, so the West would have referred to USA. So another way of doing this, so they would have already accepted your answer if you gave you were able to make a proper stand. But of course, at our stage, we do teach you to do a full range of answers. So just based on content, you make a stand. Okay, and you look at the idea of whether the source can be used to argue, like I word used, whether the source is reliable to argue that Glass B actually encouraged Saddam Hussein. So when they say that he refused to respond, in a way this is already doing reliability purpose, isn't it? When you refuse to respond means you're hiding something, there's some guilt involved. This is to me is reliability, but for the Cambridge they see as an inference. But usually to hit that level, you would have used reliability for me. Okay. Another way of doing it, they said, is through cross-referencing or by looking at provenance. So they also accepted those answers, but they prefer answers that cross-reference with source D, which made direct reference to the involvement of USA. So you realize that Cambridge itself was also very, very vague, okay, this year, which meant that it really depended on how you answered the question itself. Now let me just go through the format. I know it's a bit confusing, but I purposely print screen the markers report because I wanted you guys to actually understand that for this particular source, any answer would be acceptable as long as you're able to justify. Now, let's look at this. So for how far do source C and B support, this is a reliability using two sources question. But before you can start, you must get your content correct. And this is the part where they said making inferences. Okay, so you would say either both support, both don't support. Then again, you need to give me your evidence. Okay, or it could be one support, one doesn't support. So you have to make your stand, and your stand has to be accurate. So give evidence and explanation. Okay, so up to here it should be fine. Cross-referencing. If B and C both support, or B and C both don't support, then you lump them together and treat them as one source. So treat them B and C. So for instance, the next paragraph would be B and C both support something, an issue, because A supports B and C. Or B and C both does not support it because source D doesn't support B and C. So lump them together if they are stating the same stand. However, if it's not the same stand, then separate it out. There will be A support C, maybe D support B. Okay, or even A doesn't support C, D doesn't support B. Now again, as long as you answer the question at every stage, C and B, for example, C can be used. Oh, sorry, please don't use the word can be used. My error. Just answer the question. C supports that Saddam Hussein, for example, was a power-hungry dictator because A supports C. Okay, and maybe D doesn't support B. Okay, therefore B cannot support this issue. Always answer the question. Okay, now up to here, I don't think there's anything different. Now you may tell me, ma'am, you must do so many cross-referencing. Is that a lot? Answer is sometimes, like even this question D, you can only do one cross-referencing. You don't need to do both sources, or you don't really do both sides. The idea is to at least display that you know how to use this skill. So my answer to you is that you do at least 2 cross-references. If you're unable to do 2, then you just do 1. Whether it supports or does not support, it doesn't matter as long as you're able to answer the question. Okay, that means whether A supports C or A doesn't support C, it doesn't matter. As long as you answer the question, if A supports C, therefore C supports this issue. If A doesn't support C, therefore C does not support this issue. Or if A supports C and B, therefore C and B both support this issue. Okay, or does not support this issue, depending on what their stand is. Now, finally, purpose. Okay, in this case, it can be separate. It's not reliant. So even if C and B say the same thing, C could still be reliable and B could be not reliable. Even they say different things, C could be reliable, B could be not reliable. Or they could both be reliable, or they could be both be unreliable. It doesn't matter. Do it separately, okay? And do a proper purpose. So again, bias, propaganda, tone, message, audience, outcome, well-balanced, no benefit, or even your developed reliability, like your question previously. To me, it will be a developed reliability, actually, not an inference that she refused to respond, so there must be a hidden motive. She doesn't want US to be blamed, okay, to be seen as encouraging Saddam. Therefore, it's very suspicious. Therefore, she would evade the question so that the American public wouldn't blame America, or would still continue to support America in the Iraq-Kuwait conflict. Now, understand this. It's a huge question. So sometimes they do accept various levels, but at your stage, try to at least go back to basics, which is what? Content, cross-reference, purpose, always answer the question. So how far C can support, B can don't support, or C and B can both support, it doesn't really matter. Okay? Now, I'm going to teach you something new, another question again, and I want you, if possible, to change this question to your comparison question in the 2009 paper. Take out the comparison question and do it this way. Okay, so a new question came out quite a few years back is that both sources B and C say 2 different things. Doesn't mean one of them is wrong. Try and change this with the comparison question in the source. Okay, so it's a comparison question because it says different, but because of the word wrong, it's also reliability, so it's a hybrid question. When it came out, some students studied similarity and difference, but in this case, it only requires difference, and that's your content. So B and C say different that, give me your topic as well. What is my topic sentence? Different in what, why, how, whether, who, okay? And then give me evidence. So difference as usual. Do a cross-referencing, can be A support B, D support C, or A doesn't support B, D doesn't support C. Again, it's very similar to the previous question. Okay, but in this case, B and C definitely say 2 different things. So make sure you do a cross-referencing. Okay, could be 1, could be 2, doesn't matter, maximum 2. But your highest level, and it's not easy to hit, so I still suggest you do a cross-referencing, is to be able to explain that both are not wrong. Now, if you have 4F, pause the video. Think to yourself, why is it that both of them are not wrong? Right, so the answer is both are possible, and you really need to be able to actually explain it. So you can't just tell me both are possible, full stop. both are possible. Stalin could have done this to both increase the produce from collectivization, at the same time also increase his political power. Since both benefit him, both are possible. Or these are just two different perspectives, or these are two different events happen at two different events. They happen at two different places, or these happen at two different points in time in the same country. So both are possible. You have to explain why are both possible. Okay. So again, very similar questions, but the first one is considered reliability using two sources. Okay. Look at your content. Analyze the content thoroughly, whether they both support what's the stand or both one support, one doesn't support. Do a cross-referencing, lump together, if not separate out, and then of course purpose. Same thing for B and C, say two different things, but in this case there is no purpose level. It's actually to argue that both are actually possible. It's not about reliability. Both are possible factors, and you should explain why both can exist, both perspectives, or because different times, or because both are benefits that can exist. Now this question hasn't come up for some time, but it's actually good to know. Okay, so try and practice this and we'll see how it goes. If you don't understand, I'll explain when I give back the paper and go through paper.